Mrs. Prepon, you cannot be part of this church any longer. What? No, you can't do this. I've been part of this church for the past 25 years. I've maintained all the rules and regulations. You've broken the most holy law. No, you're misunderstanding. It was an accident. Mrs. Prepon, you are not welcomed here. That's my mother-in-law, Elaine Prepon. And yes, I'm the one who did this to her. But in my defense, she totally deserved it. But I wasn't always like this. It all started about 5 years ago. Back then, I was a different person. I was someone that didn't say no to anyone or anything. I was always kind and considerate. And as a consequence, I had a lot of people take advantage of me. After a toxic relationship with my ex-husband, I decided to leave him to raise our son Liam on my own. Liam was 4 years old, and being a single mother was very difficult. I was working an office job for long hours, and it was a very tough time for me. Sometimes I felt like giving up. I felt so alone. But in all this, I met Matthew. He came into my life and changed everything. Despite knowing about my past and my son, he accepted me, and we fell in love. Our relationship progressed quite fast, and in a matter of months, we decided to get married. And that was when I met his mother, Elaine. Matthew had brought Liam and I for a family dinner. And it was when Elaine found out about our relationship, she became all upset and stormed off from the table. Have you gone mad, Matthew? You brought home a woman like her? Mother, she's a nice girl, and above all, she really loves me. For heaven's sake, Matthew, she has a child from another man. Mother, we all make bad decisions, and we suffer for that. So did Larissa, but that doesn't mean she doesn't deserve to be happy. Then if you want to do this charity to her, then why don't you make her your second wife? Mother, you know I'm not into your church stuff. I'm not keeping 2 wives at the same time. And I'm going to marry Larissa, whether you like it or not. She's pregnant with my child. What? She's pregnant? That's how she baited you? No, I love her, and I want this child. Fine. At least don't belittle me in the society like this. Get married at the church. Larissa, where are you going? Matthew, I think I should leave. You heard everything, didn't you? My mother is a little like that, but she's accepted us. She only wants us to get married in church, as I'm her only child, and she has a lot of respect at the church she goes to. She's part of the hierarchy. Oh, alright. Absolutely. That's no problem. You see, I always saw the best in people, but the reality is, sometimes people stoop to their lowest. Matthew, before the marriage, I would like Larissa to sign these. What is this? It's just a prenup. In case of a divorce, Larissa will not be able to claim any of your money or property. This isn't necessary, Mother. No, it's alright, I'll sign it. I went along with it and signed her agreement, so long as it rid her suspicions of me. Mrs. Prepon, since the wedding's going to be held at the church, are there any other protocols I should know of? Oh please, don't mess up anything more. Just wear the clothes I'll send you and show up. We have to get this over with before that belly starts to show. What are the church members going to think? A week later, she came to me with my wedding dress. And when I opened the box, I was surprised to see a black dress. Why is this black? Isn't the wedding dress supposed to be white? Of course, it would have been, but it's tradition of our church that divorcees, widows, or women who have lost purity or conceived a child wear black on their wedding. I didn't argue with her, but of course, numerous questions arose. Talking to Matthew, I found out Mrs. Prepon attended a very strange church, which had many strange rules and regulations, some of which were: all members must believe in the supreme alien and shall not resist when they come to rule. All members must not swim or try to fly because men are not ducks and were not created to swim or fly. Men are created for walking and running. However, using boats and planes are permitted for transportation purposes. All members must practice abstinence till marriage, and all men must have at least 2 wives to be free from being vulnerable towards one woman. All members must only eat vegetables, as animals are not food. All women must not wear pants, because pants are for men. The day of our wedding, Matthew and I arrived at church to find the members having some sort of seminar, playing videos. What is this, Matthew? Don't ask. Every week the church members gather and share their evidences and proofs of witnessing extraterrestrial life, and then they go on with the ceremonies. It was after a long seminar that everyone started preparing for the wedding ceremony. That day, I stood wearing a black dress, while every other person, even Elaine, was wearing white. Oh, black dress. She's pregnant. She also has another child. Wow, he's going to regret this. Needless to say, the happiest day of my life turned out to be the most pathetic. Do you, Lissa Adams, accept Matthew Prepon as your husband? I do. Of course you do. Do you, Matthew Prepon, accept Lissa Adams as your wife? I do. Are you sure? Excuse me? You still have a chance, my son. Think this through. What? Yes, I'm sure. All right, I now pronounce you husband and wife. My wedding wasn't a matrimony ceremony, it was a public humiliation. But what I didn't know was that it was only the beginning. Matthew had always been very close to Liam, and after our marriage, he officially adopted him. And 7 months later, I gave birth to our son, Mark. We hosted a party and invited relatives and friends, but of course, Elaine showed up with a scowl on her face. Now that I've neared my old age, it's time I write up my will. And according to the traditions and beliefs, our heredity property can only be inherited by blood. So, I've left behind the house and your father's possessions to Mark. Are you going to give everything to only one of your grandsons? Don't be ridiculous, Matthew. You might be able to accept her and her love child, but Liam will never be part of this family. He's not my grandson. I couldn't understand how someone could feel so negatively towards a child. But over the years, as Liam and Mark grew up, Elaine visited quite often with gifts and presents, but they were all for Mark. She never paid Liam any attention or gave him any love. Grandma, you're here! Mark, look what I got you! Binoculars, cool! Now you can see the aliens. Can I see Mark? No, go play somewhere else. But I want to play with my brother. He's not your brother. Go find your real dad and your other brothers. A woman is an oven, and you are the bun of someone else. And Mark is the bun of my son. Now shoo from here. Mom, are you an oven? Your grandma was just playing with you. But I knew what Elaine was doing. She treated my boys so differently. And over time, I realized she was influencing Mark to think the same way. Mark, let's go play. I don't want to play with you. You're not my real brother. When I saw Mark push away his own brother, that day I realized if I wanted peace in this family, the only way was through that church. Matthew, I became a member at the church today. What? Are you crazy? Come on, they might be a little eccentric, but they're alright. You know they have issues. Serious duck issues. That weekend, I took the boys and went to Elaine's to let her know. But after arriving, she became occupied with Mark and didn't even give me or Liam a second look. Mom, look, a family album. Oh wow, here's your dad and your grandma. Grandma, I'm hungry. What do you want to have? Pizza. Alright, let's order a nice big veggie pizza. Within a while, the delivery came, and I got the pizza and served the table. But Elaine simply started eating with Mark without offering me or Liam any. What's this? It tastes pretty good. Hold on a minute. Mom, that looks like meat. You ate meat. What? Elaine started spitting the food out before she looked at Larissa helplessly. Please, don't tell anyone. Don't worry, it was an accident. Just wait and see. I'll have this pizzeria shut down. I was a bit surprised by how serious and anxious Elaine had gotten about it. She didn't want the word to get out at all. But it was the next weekend, when we had all gone to a church gathering, that something unexpected happened. Grandma, try this. It tastes like the beef pizza you ordered that day. Can we order it again? I love beef pizza. What? Mrs. Prepon, you had meat? It was a mistake. I don't know how the pizzeria got the wrong order. I threw it away as soon as I realized. Oh, I see. It was the first time I had seen Elaine look genuinely frightened. But the church members had excused her. To patch things up and also to take a break from the city life, the next weekend, Matthew invited Elaine to join us on a small fishing trip. Your grandpops used to take your dad out fishing all the time. Elaine had been looking after Mark, and Liam and I were recording some videos. It was some time into sailing, however, that I heard a loud splash on the other side. Mark fell into the water. As I called for Matthew, Elaine took off her sweater in a rush and jumped in to save Mark. Hold my hand, Mark. It's alright, Grandma, I got it. What? You know how to swim? Yeah. Who taught you? Dad. When Elaine found out Matthew had been training Mark to swim, she got furious. You taught Mark how to swim? You know we aren't supposed to swim, we're not ducks. Mom, then why did you jump? Before she got all insecure again. Don't tell anyone about today. Especially you, mister. You have one big mouth. All right, Grandma, lips sealed. However, this time, although Mark was quiet, secrets had their ways of coming out. On our weekly seminar the next Saturday, I had brought in a special cassette recording of a UFO spotting. As you can see, it's clear that the 2 UFOs landed here, as I was explaining the footage. Suddenly, the cassette malfunctioned and footage from our fishing trip began to play. Mark fell into the water. Hold my hand, Mark. Instantly, the church members turned to Elaine. Mrs. Prepon, what have you done? You swam like a duck. You cannot be part of this church any longer. What? No, you can't do this. I've been part of this church for the past 25 years. You've broken the most holy law. You're misunderstanding. It was an accident. You've been exposed, Elaine Prepon. You have followed the ways of the ducks. It was an emergency. I'm not a duck. I'm not a duck. You've given up on your faith for the life of your grandson. Red in anger, Elaine started shouting at me. You did this to me. No, you did this to yourself. As long as things were only between Elaine and I tried to overlook our differences. But when Elaine started to break apart my 2 sons, I had enough. If she couldn't accept Liam as part of this family, she didn't need to be part of my family. So I started planning of a way to get rid of her. And the only way that was possible was through the church. The first thing I did after becoming a member was to read the big book of laws that I used to my advantage. Mark, when Grandma asks you what you want to eat, say pizza. That day, when I went to Elaine's, I had brought ground meat with me and sprinkled it onto the pizza before I served them. And before the church gathering, I reminded Mark of the incident. And as I expected, he mentioned it at the dinner. However, the church members had excused her, so I had to think of something big. The day I had gone to visit Elaine, I had seen some old pictures of her. Oh, so she knows how to swim. Matthew had been teaching Mark how to swim, so I wasn't so worried for him as much as I was to get the scene recorded. Jump from the boat, but pretend as if you're drowning until Grandma jumps in to save you, okay? Got it. And alas, to conveniently show it to the members, I had Matthew help me make a UFO video. Matthew, hold the string still. All right. And today, intentionally, brought the altered cassette to expose Elaine and have her kicked out. Sorry, Mrs. Prepon. As member of the church, according to the laws, ex-members cannot be part of the family of current members. You won't get away with this. No, you can't send me out. I'm not a duck. Trust me, I'm not a duck.
Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.
Where do you think you're going? To check the mail? at 10 p.m.? Alright, fine. I was sneaking out with my friends. And you really thought you weren't going to get caught? Silly me. Why do I even try? This is the dilemma of Lindsay's life. Dealing with her overly protective, overly possessive, and overly controlling elder brother, Henry. But how could she complain? After all, Henry let her do everything. She got to go to sleepovers with her girlfriends. She went to the school dance with a date. In fact, Lindsay even got to go on a romantic date with her boyfriend and watch the sunset by the cliffside. But of course, all as long as Henry was there too. Distance. Though things were fine when she was younger, now that Lindsay was 16, she was getting fed up. Mom, this isn't fair. I'm not a child. I can take care of myself. It's like I have no freedom, no privacy. Lindsay, your brother just cares for you. Of course you're gonna take his side. He's your favorite child, and I'm no one. Lindsay, it's not like that, dear. What? I'm not your favorite child? You kids. Grace Anderson. Ever since her husband passed away, she has been a little overprotective herself, and for the most part agreed with Henry. But just because she was his mother didn't mean she got any special privileges either. Where are you going? Oh, just a little get-together with your Aunt Paulina. Hold it. You mean that cougar Aunt Paulina that works at BII Hooters? You're not going anywhere. She's a bad influence. What? Harry, I'm your mother. I don't want to hear it. I've been friends with her since college, Harry. Oh yeah, the Aunt Paulina that was trying to hit on Harry last Christmas party? Lindsay. Now you know how I feel. You kids. Now in the Anderson household, Harry was the man of the house. But it wasn't just Grace and Lindsay who were a little afraid of him, but everyone was. Harry was a brute. He was tough and scary, but everyone has their blind spots. And while school was open, Lindsay got her share of privacy away from home. But ever since graduation, she was basically stuck at home. We haven't met in almost a month. I'm missing you so much. Can't you sneak out? I tried, but you know Harry. So what now? Maybe you can come over. Lindsay excitedly jumped out of bed and peered down the hall. The house was quiet. Everyone was asleep. She would sneak in her boyfriend Ron and sneak him back out like nothing ever happened. I'm here. Get in, don't make noise. Are you sure it's safe? Oh, it's gonna be safe, as long as you brought what I told you to bring. Oh yeah, I got that. Just as Lindsay and Ron were about to get it on, all of a sudden, she heard a noise down the hall. Who's that? Oh no. Lindsay, open the door! Quick, get out! Before Ron could even move, the door burst open. Harry, you can't break into my room like that! Harry took hold of Ron's collar. What is this punk doing in my house? Let go of him, Harry! But Harry wouldn't listen. He pulled Ron out and threw him straight out onto the lawn. You like sneaking into people's houses? You little punk? No, I don't. No, I don't. As the neighbors started peering out their windows, Ron trembled as he got up. Maybe instead of blaming me, why don't you... What? Harry said, about to punch him. Get control of your own sister. She's the one who called me here. Ron managed to blabber out. Harry suddenly fell quiet, letting Ron go. Lindsay stood there in shock, as Ron nervously straightened up. You know what? It's over, Lindsay. I didn't ask for. As Harry clenched his fist and looked at Ron, he stumbled back and made a run for it. Lindsay couldn't help the tears, and in the middle of all this, Grace woke up from her sweet slumber. Kids? Both Lindsay and Harry turned around. Aren't you going to tell her anything? Aren't you going to tell him anything? I think we all crossed our lines tonight. Harry stormed off to his room, and Lindsay ran to hers crying. She couldn't take it anymore. She felt so heartbroken, so angry, and so helpless. But it was a while later, she heard Harry by her door. Lindsay, leave me alone. Lindsay, come on. He wasn't any good for you. He couldn't even talk. He was about to piss his pants. You want to be with someone like that? Well, what do you expect? Have you seen yourself in the mirror? Alright, fine. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't change anything. Alright, let me make it up to you. Let's go spend a weekend at BI Funland. I'm not 10 anymore. Really? Weren't you bugging me last week to take you there? Didn't know you were 10 last week. Okay, fine. Let's go. Despite all the disagreements and the fights, Lindsay knew Harry loved her, and she loved him too. So, the next weekend, the family booked a 2-day trip to BI Funland. Going on all the rides and eating this and that from each and every stall, Lindsay soon forgot about her breakup. Harry, I want to go on the Cyclone. Alright, I'll get the tickets. I'm gonna go get some cotton candy. While Harry and Grace waited online, Lindsay rushed off to the cotton candy stall. That's where she suddenly met gaze with a guy. Wow, he's handsome. They smiled at each other, and after a while, she saw him come her way. Hi, I'm Ben. Lindsay, you from around here? No, actually here on a trip. What about you? Me too. Mind if I have your number? Maybe we can catch up? Sure. Just as Lindsay was about to take Ben's phone, she suddenly heard a voice behind her. Maybe you want to find someone your own age? What? She is my age. Lindsay sighed and awkwardly said, This is my brother. Oh, we were just talking, man. Yeah, you think I don't know what punks like you want? Stay away from her. Dude, you need to calm down. As things started to get heated, Lindsay nervously pulled on Harry. Harry, stop, everyone's watching. Let's go. Harry gave Ben a fierce glance before he left with Lindsay. He didn't like the way the guy was staring at her. I can't believe you, Harry. Why do you have to be such a control freak? You're doing it all over again. What do you expect me to do? He was eyeing you. No, he wasn't. He was just being nice. Seeing her kids about to bicker, Grace got in between them. You know what? How about we get back to the motel and order some pizza? Like pizza's gonna make it better. You shouldn't even be eating pizza. You have high cholesterol. Why do I even try? The drive to the motel that night was a quiet one. But as Lindsay got off the car, she was surprised to notice Ben across the street, some of his friends, parking his BII Tesla in front of the Silvergate Hotel. She secretly waved at him with a smile. That's his car? And he's staying there? Wow. He's handsome and rich. Lindsay, let's go. Lindsay, Harry, and Grace had booked a small suite with 2 bedrooms. One bedroom had a single bed, which was meant for Harry, and the other had 2, which were meant for Lindsay and Grace. But as soon as Lindsay got in, "The single bed is mine," she said before she locked herself in the bedroom. Harry sighed as he plopped onto one of the beds, while his mother settled in the other. But that was when both heard a noise in the vent above Grace's bed. What was that? Rats? What? No, I'm not sleeping on this side. Women. Lindsay lay in bed, finally feeling a little better, but she was still pretty pissed at Harry. Was this going to be her life? She couldn't wait till she turned 18. Lindsay closed her eyes trying to sleep. But a while later, she suddenly heard a noise at her window. Curiously, she opened up, surprised to see a note and a rose. "Meet me by the boardwalk. Ben." Sometime in the middle of the night, Harry woke up to a noise. A strange, clicking noise. A rat? No, that wasn't a rat. It was a little past midnight when Lindsay reached the shore. At this time, it was deserted. But far down by the rocks, she noticed him. Ben was waiting for her. When she reached there, she saw he had brought wine, chocolate, and laid a blanket. Handsome, rich, and romantic. Sorry about earlier. Harry's a little like that. Forget it. At least now we can have some privacy. Come on, have a drink. I don't think I should. I'm 16. It's just one drink. No one's gonna know. A bit hesitantly, Lindsay took the glass from him and took a sip. You're so beautiful. Really? Well, you're not too bad yourself, Lindsay laughed. Ben stared at her intently, not moving his gaze. But all of a sudden, he started to lean closer to her. Whoa. Take it easy, we just met. Why waste these beautiful moments? I like you, and you know you like me. No, you're taking things way too fast for me. I think I should go. Lindsay awkwardly inched back, but just as she was to get up, Ben stopped her. You're not going anywhere. Excuse me? Who do you think you are to talk to me like that? Who am I? I'm the one who's gonna teach you and your brother a little lesson. Ben was the son of a very wealthy businessman. Growing up, he always got what he wanted. He was spoiled, arrogant, and completely narcissistic. He was used to getting attention and easily had his way with women. But today, when he tried flirting with Lindsay, and Harry insulted him in front of everyone, Ben couldn't take it. He didn't say anything to Harry at the time, but he wanted revenge. And later that night, when he saw Lindsay book into the motel across the street, he knew exactly how. He would lure her here and show her a time of her life she nor her brother would ever forget. As Ben got up and approached her, Lindsay stumbled back. "Don't come near me, or I'm going to scream." "Go ahead. No one is going to hear you out here." Lindsay's heart raced as Ben was about to grab hold of her. But all of a sudden, a fist appeared out of nowhere and punched Ben across the face. "You got that right. No one's gonna hear you out here." "Harry!" Harry picked up Ben by the collar and flung him onto the sand. And let's just say, what happened that night was truly something Ben would never forget. As Ben scrambled onto the ground, Harry took his wallet and his phone, checking his ID. "Ben Soprano? Maybe I should hand you to the police for attempting to..." "No, please, don't do that. Take off your clothes." "My clothes?" Harry took his clothes, his shoes, his phone, and threw everything in the water. "Now, get lost from here." As Ben ran for his life, Lindsay looked at her brother and broke down. "Harry, I'm so sorry. It was all my fault." "It wasn't your fault, Lindsay. He was a douchebag." "I should have listened to you. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry." "You don't have to be sorry, Lindsay. You always wonder why I'm so overprotective. It's because of Dad. He told me to take care of you and Mom, to never leave you alone. I'll always be there for you. You're the best brother a girl could have." "You kids are gonna give me a heart attack one of these days. What are you doing out on the beach in the middle of the night?" They fight, they make up, and they drive me crazy.
Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.
Zach is 7 years old. Today he won a soccer tournament at a school and was awarded a trophy. But Zach doesn't have a mother. So after school, with his trophy in his hands, he walked all the way to the warehouse where his father works. Dad is gonna be so proud. Reaching there around 5, Zach found his father had gone somewhere, so he waited, pacing around the warehouse, when he noticed a car drive up, and Mr. Marcel Luigi stepped out. He was his dad's boss. "Master Zach, you won a trophy. Congrats, young man," he said with a smile. "Your father will be here in a while. Vincent, take Master Zach inside and get some snacks for him." Zach was escorted inside, where he sat down on the sofa, eating his cookies and milk, while watching the clock tick by. Suddenly hearing the door open and his father step inside, Zach jumped up with his trophy. Dad, I won the soccer tournament. Zach, I told you not to come here. But Dad, I wanted to. Go home right now. Zach fell silent as his dad scolded him. But all of a sudden, there was a noise outside. Zach, stay here and don't come out. Boss, they've discovered our location. They'll be here any time. We have to get out of here. Hearing shots being fired, Zach anxiously stayed in the room. But when everything fell silent, he slowly stepped out. Staring at his dad laying on the floor, Zach fell weak to his knees. Dad? After the death of his father, his only family, Zach was sent to the local orphanage. It had been 3 months now. At the orphanage, Zach met a lot of kids who wanted to be his friends, but Zach was quiet much of the time. He felt all alone and he missed his dad a lot. It was one day the headmistress came to him. Zach, there's someone who wants to meet you. He followed her to her office to see a man sitting there. He was tall and broad, but had a smile on his face as he got up and stretched his hand out. Hey little buddy, I'm Grayson. You can call me Gray. Hi, I'm Zach. That day, Zach was adopted by Grayson West. The staff at the orphanage all knew him, as Grayson was an orphan himself and grew up there. And now, he was working as a computer technician. After moving in with him, Zach was still quite upset. He wasn't opening up and rarely spoke. But Gray always tried to cheer him up. After all, he understood the feeling of being an orphan. The first afternoon together, at the kitchen table, Gray took out his apron. Back when I was living in the orphanage, I used to enjoy having Mrs. Marydew's cooking. But ever since I moved out, most of the time I eat out. And when I eat at home, I just crack open a can of tuna and boil some potatoes. I know, tastes horrible. I tried to go back to the orphanage, but they won't take me anymore. But now that you're here, I'm going to cook at home, he said, picking up the spatula. Zach quietly watched him as he diced up the onions and peppers. Wow, that smells nice. And stacked the chicken up on the baking tray before he stuffed it into the oven. Meanwhile, he started stirring up a sauce in which he added all the wrong things. Why is the oven smoking? Where are my oven mitts? My oven mitts! In a hurry, Gray took a fork and poked the entire charred black chicken out of the oven and looked at Zach. I think we'll have to eat out until I learn how to cook, he awkwardly said. But finally, Zach let out a laugh. I can help you. Zach got up and took out some things out of the fridge and whipped up some sandwiches. Wow, where did you learn how to make these? I didn't have a mom, and my dad was always busy, so I had to make my own meals. Well, now that you know how to cook, you can teach me, so we can have homemade food from now on. Gray might not have been good at cooking, but there were some things he was really good at. Like working out. He showed Zach his gymming room, where he had a ton of dumbbells, barbells, punching bags. Every time he would train, Zach would watch him, and Gray would encourage him to train too. Alright little buddy, this is a 35-pound dumbbell. I lift 45 pounds, but since you're a newcomer, you should at least be able to do the 35. Alright. It's too heavy. Good try. But I was only joking with you. I actually do 25 pounds, but I tell people I do 45. And when I take pictures for BII book, I use these fake weights. Cool, can I try? Soon Zach got enrolled into school, and life was settling down once again for him. It was one morning, he got up, got ready, had breakfast, and waved goodbye to Gray, who was pretty occupied fixing up his computer. What's wrong with this thing? Going to school, Gray? All right, little buddy. The day went pretty fine for Zach, but when he returned home that afternoon, he walked into Gray's room to find him still trying to fix his computer. "Why aren't you working?" he yelled at the thing. "I thought you were a tech guy." Yeah. It's not as easy as it looks, okay? I'm trying, but it's not working." "So, you're a not so efficient tech guy." All right, I'd like to see you do it." "Okay." With the press of a few keys, Zach had the computer up and running. "What? How'd you do that?" "It's a simple but handy Windows trick." You Gen Z kids know how to use technology since your birth. Yeah, but aren't you the one who's supposed to be raising me? It's like I'm raising you. I cook for you, I do your work for you. Listening to Zach go on and on, Gray actually felt relieved. Zach was finally opening up. He was happy again. The days went by in which they kickboxed together, played computer games, and before long, Gray had become a good cook too. But every Sunday, Gray took Zach to a small sushi shop across town for dinner. Out of all the places, why do we have to come here every Sunday? You don't even like sushi. Yeah, but you like sushi, don't you? Yeah, but you can't even digest it. Every time you have sushi, you puke at night. Hey, quiet, she's coming. Who? Zach followed Gray's gestures to notice the waitress nearing them. Oh, so it's a girl. Hi, Gray. Hey, Felicia. So what's it going to be? You know my usual, one dragon roll. And for you, mister? I'll have a king crab roll. And my friend here would also like your number and wants to ask you out on a date. What? What are you doing? Please, don't pay attention to him. He's a little kid. Really? I was about to give you my number, but I guess that won't be necessary. No, I didn't mean it like that. Then you want my number? And that was the beginning of Gray and Felicia's relationship. They started dating, and within a couple months, they were madly in love and decided they wanted to get married. Get ready for the camera. Now you'll have to have sushi for the rest of your life. What? Never thought about it like that. The day of their wedding marked a new beginning for all of them. And before they knew it, 10 years went by. The house had absolutely changed ever since Felicia moved in. She had made the place feel like home. The couple had a daughter, Amy, who was now 6 years old. And Zach, he was almost 18, would soon go off to college, and to Gray, he was now his big buddy. They worked on their tech projects together, and now and then, Gray even taught Zach some new tricks. But when it came to working out, now Zach lifted way more weights than Gray. Come on, Gray, you can do 10 more reps. Oh, give your old man a break. As they finished up their workout session, they heard little footsteps rushing down the hall. Come on, everyone, Mom's calling us for dinner. All right, sweetheart. What day is it today again? Sunday. Oh man, why'd you have to remind me? Even now, 10 years later, every Sunday, Felicia made special sushi for everyone because Gray loved it so much. Oh, sushi, my favorite. But Mom, I don't like sushi. From where do you get that from? I like sushi, your dad likes sushi. Yeah, right. What? Huh? I was just saying I like sushi too. Come on, Amy, eat up. I'm going to kill you. Life was perfect and wholesome. Everyone was happy, and they were a big, united family. The following day, after finishing up school, Zach was returning home when he realized someone had been following him. It was an old man. He seemed oddly familiar, but Zach couldn't point him out. Master Zach Monroe, you've grown up so much. You look just like your father. Hearing him, Zach suddenly realized. Mr. Luigi? Yes, Zach, can we talk? That afternoon, Zach and Mr. Luigi sat down at a coffee shop. I have something I want to give you, Mr. Luigi said, putting a gift on the table. It was a wristwatch and an envelope with money. Your father used to work for me. He gave his life for me. This is the least I can do. I can't take this, Mr. Luigi. This isn't necessary. What happened, happened. Zach, do you truly know who Grayson West is? Yes, he's my adoptive father. He raised me after my father's death. Do you know who was the reason behind your father's death? Let me go put her to bed. Big buddy, what are you doing here? Gray walked into his room to find Zach standing there, but he was silent. Big buddy, is everything okay? Zach turned around. He held a gun in his hands and an ID. You took my father's life. Grayson West was an orphan. He grew up lonely as he always felt rejected from everyone. At school, his classmates were mean to him because he couldn't match up with them. He didn't have the support they had. As he got older, other people mistreated him, overlooking him as he had no background, and often Grayson felt helpless. This lonely childhood had made Grayson hard-hearted. He became harsh and ruthless to everyone around him. And when he grew up, he joined the police. But it was on one of his operations in which he pulled fire on one of the henchmen of the syndicate boss, Marcel Luigi, and saw his son, Zach, crying beside his dead father. Grayson realized what he had done, what he had become. He had grown up living through all the difficulties of an orphan, and today he made another young boy an orphan. After that incident, in grief and remorse, Grayson put away his gun and took off his badge, and decided to leave that life forever. But it was soon after that the struggles began. Although he had no experience with tech, with the help of a friend, he started working as a computer technician. And soon after, out of his guilt, he went back to the orphanage and adopted Zach. Zach, when you were younger, I didn't tell you because I thought it would be difficult for you. And as you were growing up, I wanted to tell you, but I was insecure. I was afraid you would hate me. I was afraid to lose you. But if you feel taking my life will bring solace to you, then go ahead. I have no regrets. I know you'll take care of my wife and daughter after I'm gone." All of a sudden, Felicia came into the room and froze seeing Zach holding a gun in his hands. "What is going on?" "Nothing. Go, I think I heard Amy crying." "What? I just now put her to bed." "It's okay, I'll go check on her," Zach said as he put the gun back in its place. Grayson watched as Zach left his room. The whole night he couldn't sleep, thinking of what Zach might be going through. And come the next morning, he got up and went to speak to him. However, he found Zach's room empty. Nothing but a note left behind on his bed. "Gray, you did a lot for me. Even though we've been friends my whole life, you were the father I never had. I didn't know my mother, and my father, he never had time for me. But you did everything for me, and I don't want a dark shadow to fall on your family because of me. So I'm leaving. Your little buddy."
Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.
"I know you're there. You will never have relief. You will never have release. You will suffer forever." Cheyenne and Luke have been married for about a year now. After getting news that her grandfather was unwell, they're going to meet her family, and it just so happens to be the time of Thanksgiving. Cheyenne belongs to a Native American family, and it was almost against everyone's will that she married Luke. She is a pharmaceutical sales representative, and it was on a business trip to the BII hospital that she met Luke, who is a nurse there. From that one meeting, they started seeing each other, fell in love, and eventually got married. Although initially her family was against their marriage. Her parents have accepted Luke, as he is a nice guy. Thanksgiving. What a good time of the year to meet your family. What are you complaining about? They treat you like a king. It's not your mom and dad I'm worried about. It's the extended family. Don't worry, you'll get along. It was a long trip from Washington to Kotlik, Alaska, until the couple finally reached the Milwaukee ranch. Mr. Milwaukee was sitting on the porch reading his paper when he jumped up seeing his daughter, and Mrs. Milwaukee rushed out hearing their name. "My daughter, I missed you so much." "Me too, Dad." "How are you, son?" "Great. How have you guys been?" "Stressed waiting for you two? Why did it take so long? You can talk all you want later. Let them take a breath. They must be exhausted." "Yes, of course. Come in. I made your favorite Luke." Receiving a warm welcome from Mr. and Mrs. Milwaukee. That evening, Luke and Cheyenne freshened up while Mrs. Milwaukee got the table served. "Cheyenne, sweetheart, can you help me out in the kitchen?" "Sure." "Cheyenne, why did you bring Luke? You know these aren't good times." "Mom, not you two. How could I come alone?" "But you know how your grandfather is. He's more understanding than you." Without listening to her mother, Cheyenne and Luke went to meet her grandfather. He was laying in bed when Cheyenne called out to him, "Anchi, how are you feeling?" Her grandfather turned around, but the moment his eyes fell on Luke, he suddenly grew tense. Immediately grasping onto his collar, he yelled, "Why did you bring him here? You must leave. You must leave. You mustn't stay here." "Anchi, I'm sorry, please calm down." "You shouldn't have brought. You shouldn't." When her grandfather got more anxious, Mr. Milwaukee rushed to hold him, and Mrs. Milwaukee pulled her daughter and son-in-law out of the room. "He hasn't been doing well. He needs some rest. Cheyenne, why don't you take Luke to the table?" Cheyenne quickly took Luke away. Mrs. Milwaukee prepared all their favorites. And that night, they had a rather delightful dinner. "Why don't we go hunting tomorrow with your cousins? What do you say, Luke?" "But I never went hunting. I don't even know how to fire a gun." "That's no problem. I'll teach you." "Alright, sounds great." With big plans for the next day, everyone soon went to bed. But Luke was still a little comfortable about the way Cheyenne's grandfather reacted seeing him. "That was strange with Grandpa. I really thought he liked me." "He does like you, Luke. You know, it's really not a good time of the year. Bad memories and all." "I understand." Early the next morning, it was raining lightly, but Mr. Milwaukee and Luke prepared to go for their hunt. "Nice. Hunting. Everyone of your family will have rifles, and then there will be me. You are no less, okay? Be nice. And besides, they might not like you, but they love me." Driving out into the woods, Mr. Milwaukee and Luke soon met up with his brother and nephew, Kai. "Hey Kai, what's up, man?" Luke said, stretching out his hand, but Kai simply snickered and walked off. Luke spent much of the time with Mr. Milwaukee, who showed him how to load and fire the rifle. "Luke, over there." "Take the shot. This is your chance to shine." "Got it." "Son, are you alright?" Yes, I'm fine." "What are you people good for? Don't know how to hunt? Don't know how to survive? The only thing you people are good at is stealing from people, stabbing them in their back, and taking innocent life." "Don't feel embarrassed. It happens to everyone on their first time." "It didn't happen to any of us." It wasn't until late in the evening when the men returned with a catch. A deer that Kai hunted down. As they all got a bonfire going, they sat with Mr. Milwaukee, while Mrs. Milwaukee got the roast going. Uncle, why don't you tell us the stories of old? The story of the curse? That story again? We all know it. How about something else, Dad? No. Uncle always shares that story every year. We can't forget our heritage, our history. Kai, can you stop? Why? Because of him? He probably hasn't learned it in school. He should also know the truth about his ancestors. Yes, of course, I'd like to hear the story. Please, share it with us. All right. You kids all calm down. It was almost 300 years ago. At the time, my great-great-grandfather, he was the chief of the Milwaukee tribe. He was a very wise man, and all the people of the tribe respected him. It was during his time white men began sailing here and settling on our lands. We found them different. They wore different clothes, they spoke a different language, and they knew nothing of the land nor how to survive on it. And when winter came, they suffered in the cold and hunger. Diseases of all kinds spread amongst them. It was one cold, snowy night. One of their men came to us requesting help. The man adopted our language and became one of us. He was a symbol of friendship between his people and ours. And so the Milwaukee assisted them. We helped them survive the winter, provided them with food and clothing. And with the change of season, we taught the men how to cultivate corn, extract sap from the maple trees, catch fish from the river, and avoid poisonous plants. And soon, their condition got better. But it was once these men learned how to survive on the land. They began to show their true colors. Their friendship was nothing but an act out of necessity. And deep down inside, all they wanted was to rob us. They began launching raids on the tribe, looted us and kidnapped our women and children. Whenever they found a diseased person amongst them, they sent the sick to our homes to infect us and give us a miserable death. But it was a year later, at the time of the harvest, they committed the most atrocious of deeds. Inviting the Milwaukee elders and chieftains for a feast from their first harvest, they extended their hands in friendship and peace. But in truth, they poisoned their food. As the Milwaukee chieftain passed away, he cursed the traitor. Now that you have taken our soul, may your soul never rest. Now that you have tasted our flesh, you must feast on the flesh of your own people. And in due time, the curse fell on him for his deeds. He developed hunger, appetite for flesh, and began feasting on his own people, their own children and women. But his hunger was insatiable. As the men began losing their loved ones to a vicious creature, they studied and learned about our legends and made a silverhead spear and planned to hunt down the beast. And one night, they successfully captured him and took his life, burning his remains. We finished his body, but the spirit of the Wendigo will live on. The curse will live on. We must leave these lands before it possesses one of us. Hearing the story from Mr. Milwaukee, Luke stared at the woods, a little frightened himself. This be true? A creature? A spirit? A curse? Come on, everyone. Dinner is ready. Let's go. From that night, no matter how much Luke tried to forget, he was frightened to his core. What are you looking at? Nothing. Nothing. Can we go eat inside? Luke, don't tell me you're scared. Because of that, it's not true. I thought Kai said it was history. It is, but a Wendigo? Come on, forget what he says. But none of Cheyenne's skepticism worked to calm him down. And in the middle of the night, when Luke woke up needing to go to the bathroom, he was too afraid to go alone. Cheyenne, wake up. What is it, Luke? Can you help me out? Hold the flashlight. Gotta go to the bathroom. Are you done yet? Don't leave, okay? Wait for me. Okay. It was pitch dark in the middle of the night when Luke got out of the bathroom, but Cheyenne was nowhere. Panicked, he looked around when he suddenly heard a sound behind him towards the woods. What is that? You're done? Why didn't you call me? Cheyenne, did you see that? I thought I saw something. What? I thought it was the Wendigo. It had that skull. These horns. Don't be ridiculous. Maybe you saw a moose. No, I'm serious. Luke, it's late. Come on, I want to go to bed. Somehow passing the night, the next day, Mr. Milwaukee and Kai were going out hunting, and Luke too joined them. But strangely, the entire day went by, and they hadn't returned. Pacing on the porch at almost 11 p.m., Cheyenne finally saw her dad and Kai return. Dad, where's Luke? Dad? Dad, where's Luke? Mr. Milwaukee held his daughter with tears in his eyes. I'm sorry, child. We couldn't save him. He was a hero. What? What are you... Kai, what is Dad talking about? Where's Luke? This time, when Luke joined the others hunting by the riverside, he decided to stick to preparing the bait and focused on fishing. while Kai was out in the woods finding a target. But it was while Luke was fishing, he suddenly heard a strange grunting noise. He saw Kai targeting a deer. What he saw behind him shook him to his core. "Kai, behind you!" Turning to see a bear, the animal immediately charged. Kai was caught off guard, dropping his gun in the hustle. But Luke ran to help him, taking the rifle in his own hands and firing. But in the process, he injured himself. "Hurry, we have to get him to the hospital." Luke was taken to the hospital, but he passed away from his injuries. No, this can't be true. "I'm sorry, Cheyenne. I know I was never good with him. I know I never treated him well. But today, he gave his own life to save mine." After Luke's death, Cheyenne was heartbroken and depressed. She returned to the city and visited his parents. But now, all alone, she wasn't able to adjust to the city life anymore. Soon her health began to deteriorate, and she fell ill, and decided to return to her parents' place till things got better. Blood of a White Man.
Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting. Maribel and Jonathan have been in a serious relationship for the past year or so. They were in love and recently moved in together. Everything about their relationship was fine, except that they had one secret. They were first cousins. So how did this love affair start? Well, it all began when Maribel moved to the city when she got a transfer from her college in her sophomore year and enrolled in the BII University. And since Jonathan didn't live too far from there, Maribel's father, Jonathan's Uncle Jerry, gave him a call. "Johnny, Bella's moving to Chicago. She's gonna be staying at the dorm, and you know what happens in these colleges. Help her out when she gets there, and make sure you look after her. I don't want to hear about any guys roaming around my baby girl. You got it, Johnny?" "Yeah, sure, Uncle Jerry. Don't worry about it." And it was over time that this innocent, helping out relationship had turned into something else. So this is your popular Playboy flat everyone talks about? What? Who said that? I don't remember the last time I had a girl over here. Really? Yeah, just give me one moment. Jonathan rushed to his room, stuffed all his magazines, his posters. Oh darn, that girl from last night left her clothes here too. He rearranged his whole room for Maribel. She was right. Jonathan made good money, he lived on his own, and he was a spoiled playboy. It was from the very first time Maribel had walked into his apartment that Jonathan became attracted to her. And it wasn't just him, but Maribel too felt that spark. Jonathan was that bad boy every girl fell for. She couldn't help but come over to his place, and every time she did, she left a little excuse so she could come back again. Oops, I guess I dropped that here. And as she expected, Jonathan always reciprocated. "Belle, I think you left your purse at the flat. I would have dropped it off, but I'm really busy with work." "Oh, so that's where it went. Don't worry, I'll come by to pick it up." And it was every time Maribel returned to the apartment that Jonathan had everything set up for a fun night. "You don't have class tomorrow, do you? You want to watch a movie together?" Maribel did have class, but when your crush invited you to watch a movie, you watched that movie. "Totally, I'm actually free tomorrow too." And from one excuse to the other, Maribel started sleeping over, and the obvious of what was to happen, happened. Their relationship wasn't an issue for them, but they knew it might be an issue to others, so they kept it a secret. But it came the time of the year when the Sanford family all gathered at the family farmhouse in Mapleton for their Grandpa Simon's birthday. And as usual, Maribel and Jonathan were expected to be there for the weekends. "What are we going to do? How are we going to go like this?" "Well, we don't have a choice, we have to go. It's Grandpa's 99th birthday." "But you know we can't let them know. If your dad finds out, he's going to take my life. No, my dad is going to take my life. No, the whole family is going to take my life. How are we going to hide our relationship?" "Calm down. Just keep your hands off me and keep your mouth shut and we'll be fine." "I can keep my mouth shut, but how am I going to keep my hands off of you?" "I'm serious, Johnny. And another thing, we can't go together or they'll be all suspicious." So on the day of Grandpa Simon's birthday, Maribel and Jonathan drove out to Mapleton, but they took a stop a good distance from the Sanford farmhouse. "All right, I'll drive the rest of the way, and you go by foot." "What? This is my car. You can't drive it there? What are people going to think?" All right, you drive." Maribel got off the car and walked the rest of the 10 blocks to the farmhouse, where she saw her mother greeting Johnny by the door. But seeing her, she furrowed her brows. "Belle, did you walk here from the train station? You didn't take a taxi? Where's your luggage?" Oh shoot, Maribel just realized she left her luggage in Johnny's trunk. "Yeah, I forgot my luggage on the train. Everything was in there, so I had to walk all the way here." "How could you be so careless? Hold on, I'll tell your father to call the station. Maybe they put it in the lost and found." "Mom!" But before Maribel could give another excuse, her mother rushed off. Jonathan too had hurried off inside to meet his Grandpa Simon. "Grandpa Simon, happy birthday!" "You kids made it." "Of course we would, you're 99 today." "Grandpa!" "Maribel, sweetheart." Seeing Maribel rush his way, Jonathan quickly moved aside, but he soon bumped into Uncle Jerry, the last person he wanted to see. "Johnny boy, how is everything?" Jonathan nervously chuckled. "Everything's good, Uncle Jerry. Your dad told me you got a promotion, making good money now. The ladies must be lining up." Yeah." Uncle Jerry laughed as he patted Jonathan on the back. "You remind me of the old days, Johnny boy. I was just like you, and from what I heard about you, I guess those 3 tricks I taught you must be working. But there's another one, Johnny boy. One more trick that will make any girl go crazy. Remind me to teach you." "Yeah, Uncle Jerry, I think I heard Mom calling me. I'll catch up with you later." Jonathan breathed out in relief as he slipped out of his uncle's grip. He had grown up being pampered by him. They had always been really close, getting him gifts and taking him out. And once Jonathan reached his teens, he and Uncle Jerry were like buddies. They used to talk and share a beer. "Johnny boy, you remember this good. This young age isn't going to come back. Make good use of it. Remember the tricks I taught you. You do these 3 things and the girls will never forget you." But as open as he was with Uncle Jerry, now he didn't know that Jonathan was dating his daughter. But Jonathan knew how possessive of a father he was. Hey, you little coward. Young lady, tell me I did not just see a punk run off over the fence. Dad, he's not like that. I like him. Oh, so now you have a boyfriend. Well, you know what I have? A daughter, a gun, a shovel, and an alibi. You be sure, young lady, that punk is gonna be buried in your mother's garden if he makes his way here again. Jonathan shivered as he looked out to the rose garden. Was that going to be him? For much of the time he was in the house, he tried to dodge off his uncle and keep his distance from Maribel. But he was obviously tempted. "Maribel, sweetheart, can you get out the paper plates from the pantry?" "All right." Perfect. As soon as Maribel went into the pantry, Jonathan went after and closed the door. "What are you doing?" "I was missing you. You're meeting me out in the shed tonight, right?" "Jonathan, move out of the way. We're gonna get caught." "Are you coming? At 11? All right." Maribel hurried out of the pantry, sneaking a peek this way and that way. Luckily, no one was around. She and Jonathan went off to the kitchen, where both their mothers were serving up food. She picked up a spoon and started taste testing the desserts, while Jonathan went to grab a drink. "How do you like it, sweetheart? Your mother taught me how to make that." Jonathan walked by Maribel accidentally, or maybe just a little intentionally, shoving her. Maribel looked at Jonathan, thinking, what if his mother saw that? "Watch your way. Do you need something?" "Nothing, babe." Jonathan froze, realizing what slipped out of his mouth. Nobody noticed that, right? "What? Babe? Did you just now call her babe?" his mother asked. Jonathan chuckled. "No, I was just teasing her. It's just a joke. It's what's trending. Kids these days, I don't get these jokes." Feeling awfully awkward and in a danger zone, the cousins hurried off searching for the others. They joined Janet, Jonathan's younger sister, and a good friend of Maribel's, Mark, Maribel's younger brother, and their Uncle Tom, who was their age and were practically friends with them all. "So how's it back in the city? You guys see each other?" Uncle Tom asked. But Jonathan and Maribel quickly shook their heads. "No, why would we see each other? I thought you guys lived in the same city." "Oh, yeah, we do. I wish Dad would let me go. I wanted to stay over at Johnny's." Janet gasped, looking at Maribel. "So does Johnny know then?" Maribel quickly shook her head. "No, Janet, no." But who was Janet to listen? "Belle's got a mystery man. She's been talking about him lately, but she won't tell me his name. All she says is he's the best, if you know what I mean." She chuckled, raising her brow. Maribel widened her eyes, elbowing her. "Janet!" But Jonathan couldn't help the smirk roll across his face. "I never said anything of the sort." "It's all right. I'm not going to tell your parents," Uncle Tom chuckled. "That doesn't mean I can't." "You better not." "Hey kid, snitches get stitches. You keep those lips sealed." "So what's up with you, man? Still living a bohemian life? Are you seriously never gonna settle down?" "Why do I have to get married? I didn't do anything wrong." "Dude, marriage is like putting a shackle on yourself. It's a lifelong financial liability. Man, if there's one thing I learned from my business degree, it's not to get married. It's nothing to gain and everything to lose. You get yourself stuck with one woman, you lose your friends, your space, your money, and if you leave them, you pay them for the rest of your life. Come on, there isn't anything better than the bachelor life. Responsibilities and commitment, it's just not for me." Maribel suddenly furrowed her brows. "Oh, really? So you're never going to get married?" "Nope," Jonathan quickly said. Before he actually realized who he said it to. "I mean, yeah." Maribel shook her head as she got up. "I'm gonna go stretch out." But Jonathan could tell Maribel was pissed at him. After a while, he too thought of an excuse and went to speak with her. But when he neared her by the swings, she got up and started to go inside. "Belle, wait." "Why are you avoiding me?" "'Cause I thought you were a bachelor for life. What do you have to do with me?" You know I didn't mean it. I was just acting. Yeah, and when did you become such a good actor? Come on, don't be like that, baby. Whatever, you've been a playboy your whole life. Maybe that is the real you. What do you want me to do? You want me to tell everybody I love you and I want to marry you? I don't know, do whatever you want, Maribel said, about to push him and leave. Wait, you're still meeting me at 11, right? Do you want us to get caught? No one can know about us, Johnny. No one can know, Maribel said, waving her hands frantically. That's when the two heard a twig snap behind them. They turned to see Janet, frozen with 2 corn on the cobs in her hand, and her eyes big and wide. You guys are dating? Are you crazy? You're first cousins. Shh, Janet, please. This is your secret boyfriend that no one can know? And he's the best at ... Do you realize he's my brother? Janet, you better not tell. Yeah, okay, she said before she sprinted inside. Luckily, Janet didn't spill, but that evening went by horribly for Jonathan. Maribel, you're not dating anyone, right? Why don't I tell Tom to set you up with one of his friends? Jack, the blonde hair, blue eyes surfer boy. Remember him? Yeah, who could forget him? Sounds good, 'cause I want to be settled in my life. Perhaps he will marry me. Maribel wasn't responding to Jonathan's texts. Every time Jonathan saw Maribel, he tried to mind talk to her, but she kept looking away and ignoring him. And around 11, Jonathan slipped out to the backyard shed after secretly passing Maribel a glance. But Maribel only frowned and turned around the other way. He waited for almost half an hour, but she didn't come after all. Now what? All alone, Jonathan eventually just decided to sit down next to Grandpa Simon by the fireplace. What's wrong with you, boy? Why do you look upset? Nothing, Grandpa. I'm fine. So what's up with you? How's it like being 99? Honestly, fella, at this age, you remember all the little things in life you wanted to do, but you didn't for whatever reason, and you regret not doing them. I'll give you one piece of advice. Don't think about what others think of you. Do what you want. You only have one life. Yeah, you're right, Grandpa. After speaking with Grandpa Simon, Jonathan was actually feeling a little better. Come on, everyone, there's 10 minutes to 12. Dad, let's go. Jonathan's father helped his grandpa walk over to the table where everyone had huddled around the cake to take a family picture. Everyone say cheese. Jonathan kept on passing a glance at Maribel, who intentionally stood all the way opposite to him. Come on, kids, your grandpa might need some help now, blowing out all the candles. Let's count down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. And as soon as Grandpa Simon built up enough breath to blow the candles out, Jonathan stepped out and called to everyone's attention. Grandpa, Dad, Mom, Uncle Jerry, Aunt Stella, I'm in love with Maribel, and we've been living together for the past 7 months, and we're probably going to get married and end up together. Maribel tried to pull out of the crowd and make a run for it. Both their parents all looked at Johnny, shocked to their core. What? How? When? Why? But Jonathan couldn't hide this anymore. Don't look so surprised. Is there anyone in this room who didn't have a crush on one of their cousins? That's when everyone fell silent, passing each other a guilty glance. Grandpa Simon laughed out as he blew the candles. I always had a crush on my cousin, your Grandma Beth, kept it a secret, lost her forever. Kudos, Johnny boy. Well done in keeping the inheritance in the family bloodline. Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.
Nearly 25 years ago, Robert Hayes dropped out of college and was struggling in his life. He worked one odd job after the other, trying to make a way for himself. And after many ups and downs, Robert finally made his way to success as owner of his own car showroom in San Francisco, California. His life had shifted completely. Now he had wealth, he had his own home, lots of recognition. And also, Robert found the love of his life, Stella. They had first met when her father had brought her to his showroom to buy a car. She was from an affluent and respected family, and although Robert was rich and successful, he had yet to reach the kind of status Stella's father had. "Dad, I want to marry him." "What? You want to marry that car showroom salesperson?" Despite his reluctance, Stella chose Robert and they got married. Robert tried to provide all the comfort and luxury Stella was used to. She lived a lavish lifestyle, attending and hosting parties. She had VIP memberships to elite women's clubs. She advocated women's rights, animal rights, environmental rights. Together, Robert and Stella were happy. She was loving and caring. And some years into their marriage, they had a beautiful baby daughter, Ellie, my little princess. Ever since her birth, Robert did everything in his power to make Ellie feel like she was a princess. He showered her with so much love, gifts, and toys, celebrated her every milestone. Robert never let her smile leave her face. His life couldn't be more perfect. His business was growing. He had a happy family, but everything changed with one accident. "Stella, I can't breathe. My chest. Bob, are you all right?" Robert suffered a severe stroke, in which half of his body became paralyzed. He became bedridden, incapable of moving, but the most painful of all, his speech too had become compromised. "Don't worry, Bob, everything's going to be fine. I love you, Dad." Stella and Ellie tried to console him, but deep down inside, they were in despair, knowing he would probably never recover. What would they do with him in this condition? After Robert returned home, Stella and Ellie tried to support him and hired a nurse to take care of him. "This bell is for you, Mr. Hayes. If you ever need help, just tap it." Come 2 months' time, Robert's condition had improved slightly, and he regained a little speech. However, things were very different in the house now. Much of the time, Robert was with Mrs. Johnson, and Stella and Ellie rarely even came to visit. "Mrs. Hayes, would you please help me? I can't pick Mr. Hayes up on my own. He's very heavy." "Is this why I've kept you here? To do all your work for you?" "I don't have time for all this. I'm getting late for the party." "But Mrs. Hayes, Mr. Hayes wanted to sit out on the patio to get some air." "He doesn't have to sit out. He's fine in bed. Just turn on the TV and let him be." Robert looked at the nurse walk in, looking a bit upset. "I'm sorry, Mr. Hayes. Mrs. Hayes has left." He closed his eyes, listening to the sound of Stella's heels in the hallways. Everything and everyone had rights in her book, except for her own husband. "Mrs. Johnson, where is Ellie?" "She's gone outside with her friends. I haven't seen her in the last 2 weeks." Even Ellie didn't even cross by his door, afraid he might want to talk to her. What did I do my whole life? I sacrificed my sleep, led an unhealthy life. I stressed, also I could make money and give them the life I never had. And today, they don't have time for me. The days were going by like this. Stella and Ellie were busy with their own lives. But it was one day, Mrs. Johnson quit her job, and they found themselves having to take care of Robert. Dr. Anderson, this is Stella Hayes. Stella, how's Robert doing? Bob's nurse suddenly quit, and you know how difficult it can be caring for him on my own. Will you be able to arrange an emergency nurse? Let me see what I can do. Mom, Dad keeps ringing that bell every 2 seconds. Water, this, that. He's never going to recover. I can't do all this. I know, sweetheart. I've been trying to get a nurse, but maybe we'll have to send him to a nursing home. Robert lay in bed, staring at the TV turned on to a random channel, while he listened to his daughter and wife. They thought he couldn't hear them, but he could hear everything in this house. Today, he was in doubt if he would have a place to stay in his own home. Life had gotten worse since Mrs. Johnson left, but Robert didn't blame her. How was she supposed to take care of him all on her own? And on top of that, Stella's behavior towards her was horrendous. In this time of difficulty, one day a young woman visited their house. Hello, I'm Rose Dawson. I was informed you need a nurse. I've come here on Dr. Anderson's recommendation. Oh, yes, come in. How is the patient? His condition isn't so well. When can you start working? When would you like me to start? Right now. Stella escorted Rose around the house, showed her her quarter, and lastly brought her to Robert's room. Hello, Mr. Hayes. I'm Rose. I'm going to be your new nurse. Stella was relieved when Rose took over for her. In the next few days of caring for Robert, Rose spent a lot of time in his room. She was cleaning up one afternoon when she found a diary that belonged to him. Wow, he came from a very humble background. Literally built himself from nothing to something. Looking through his desk, she spotted an old watch, an old wallet. Robert still kept these from the old days. Now in the Hayes household, Stella and Ellie no longer had to bother about Robert. But it was late one night. Stella woke up hearing Robert's bell continuously ring. What time is it? Where is she? Why isn't she going? On the other hand, Ellie too woke up, but simply put her pillow over her head and eventually, both went back to sleep. The next morning when Stella finally woke up, she went to Robert's room. Rose had him in his wheelchair by the balcony and was shaving his beard. How is everything? Fine, Mrs. Hayes. I'll be taking Mr. Hayes out for a stroll in the garden. Rose turned out to be a far better nurse than Mrs. Johnson. Over the days, Rose helped Robert practice his speech, helped him exercise. She brought him out to the dining room and fed him his meals there. And every morning, they went out to catch some fresh air in the garden, and Rose simply spoke to him to keep him company. Do you have any family? No, I'm an orphan. I have a younger sister. She's married now, settled in her life. And you? I'm single, Mr. Hayes. No plans anytime soon. With time, Robert's health had improved significantly, and Stella was quite surprised. She thought he would never recover. Mom, it's my sweet 16. This party needs to be perfect. Mom hired the best caterers. This will be a party to remember. Thanks, Mom. But please make sure that the nurse doesn't walk around with Dad in front of everyone. It's so embarrassing. Stella planned the most spectacular night. But come the day the caterers and designers were scheduled to come, they didn't show up. Hello, BI Catering Service. This is Stella Hayes. I had an event booked today, but your caterers aren't here yet. Yes, Mrs. Hayes. It was cancelled some days ago. What? Cancelled by who? It was a Miss Rose Dawson? Stella put down the phone, absolutely shocked and furious. She immediately stormed to Robert's room. You canceled the caterer's booking without consulting me? Mr. Hayes has fallen sick. He really needs to rest. If there will be a party, there'll be a lot of noise till late into the night. It's not good for him, so I thought, no parties until he's better. Who do you think you are to take these decisions? Stella furiously scowled at Rose. But all of a sudden, Robert spoke out. If you haven't forgotten, this is still my house. She didn't do anything wrong. She considered my health something you were supposed to do. Stella was shocked by how Robert defended Rose. Your dad had her cancel the party. How can Dad be so selfish? And that nurse, she's no angel either. There's something about her, Mom. There's something. A bit suspicious herself, Stella started keeping an eye on Rose. She noticed Rose went to Robert's room in the middle of the night, even when he hadn't rung the bell. What are you doing here? Just came to check on Mr. Hayes. Stella was starting to get a strange feeling about Robert and Rose. She would often see them talking and laughing. Here's your fruit and oatmeal, Mr. Hayes. I'll feed him. You can go. No, Rose, stay here. It's okay, Stella. I don't want to interrupt you from your busy routine. Stella clenched her jaws as she saw Rose take the bowl and start feeding him, both ignoring her. But that's not where it ended. All of a sudden, Rose started ordering the maid, moving the furniture around the house as if she were the one in charge. And it was one afternoon, Stella returned home to find her emptying her yoga room. What do you think you're doing? We can't always take Mr. Hayes outside. It's raining out. So I thought, why not make this his exercise room? Now with Robert recovering, there was nothing Stella could do about Rose. Whenever she confronted her, Robert always defended her. But it was soon that Rose had crossed the line. What do you mean I'm not allowed in? Your membership has been revoked from the club, Mrs. Hayes. What? This is a mistake. Stella tried to get her membership back. However, only got herself into more embarrassment when her debit card was declined. And she knew the only person who could be behind this. How dare you? What do you think of yourself? You revoked my club membership? Rose was silent as Stella stormed at her. I told her to do it. If you must go to the club, why don't you ask your rich father to afford it for you? As of now, the treatment has cost me a lot over these past months, and I'll have to manage a way to pay it off. And since I haven't been able to work and you were in charge, the business has suffered a lot of loss. So I've decided you won't be responsible for it anymore. Rose can manage the business. What? Think of yourself, relieved. Stella returned to her room feeling so humiliated. She didn't know what to do. Suddenly, Ellie rushed in and turned on the TV. Mom, you have to see this. A female thief has been suspected to con people in the Bay Area of San Francisco. She impersonates nurses, maids, or house helpers and finds her way into the house of rich folk before she steals all their money and flees. Ellie and Stella looked at each other. You think it's her? I'll find out, Mom. I knew there was something about her. The following day, while Rose was out with Robert in the garden, Ellie went through all her things. Bingo. Mom, look what I found. That's my girl. Now we'll get her. As the rain suddenly started to pour outside, Rose hurried to bring Robert inside. But just as they came in through the door, they found Stella and Ellie standing there. Mrs. Rose, or should we call you Mrs. Kate Winslow? Your game is over. Rose suddenly froze, looking at Stella anxiously. What is going on? Bob, your favorite nurse is not a nurse. She's a thief. Dad, look at all these IDs she has. This is what she does. She's a thief. She goes to vulnerable households and gets close to them and steals all their money. In fact, the police are searching for her. I saw it on the news. The description fits her perfectly. Yes, I know, she has many aliases. A lot of people have, but that doesn't make her a thief. What evidence do you have that she stole anything from this house? Thief or not, she will not stay in this house anymore. She's not going anywhere. Bob, either she will stay or I will stay. Stella, you are my wife, but you never behaved like a wife. All you did was enjoy on my money. And when I fell sick, you left me in that bed in this condition, thinking I would never recover. I would die like this. And Ellie, my life was all about seeing her smile. I worked day and night to fulfill her every wish, to see that smile, but she didn't value me. She never came once to make me smile, to comfort me. But Rose, she was here. I've recovered this far because of her. Who do you think is going to stay in this house? Fine, then I'll leave the house. Alright, go. But please, do come to our wedding. We're getting married. What? Hearing Robert's words, Rose became teary. Mr. Hayes. Kate Winslow was indeed a thief. She was the one the BIIPD had been searching for. When she came to the Hayes household, she came with those very intentions. In the first few days, she searched the entire house, finding Robert safe in his room where he kept all his money. And on the right opportunity, late one night, she moved the bell from his side and broke into the safe. But it was as she got the money out. Robert had woken up. However, he couldn't move nor properly talk, so she could easily escape. But trying to call for help, Robert fell from the bed. Kate had almost fled from there that night, but seeing his struggle, she felt for him. She started ringing the bell so Stella and Ellie would come, and she could escape out the window, but no one answered Robert's calls. She knew if she left Robert in that condition, he wouldn't survive. I'm sorry, I'm never going to leave you alone. It was since then that Kate started to take care of him and nursed Robert back to health, even though she put herself at risk of being exposed. Ridiculous. I knew something was going on. I'll see you in court, Robert Hayes. And what will you do? Did you forget your rich father made me sign a prenup before I married you? Just like I won't get anything of yours in the case of divorce, I also added my own clause. You won't get anything of mine. Stella fell speechless. This was so humiliating. Come, Ellie, we're not going to stay here a second longer. Stella and Ellie left that day, and Robert and Rose started their new life together. And a month later, after his divorce, they had a beautiful wedding. Kate Winslow, do you take Robert Hayes as your husband? I do. Robert Hayes, do you take Kate Winslow as your wife? Right before he said the words, Robert stood up from his wheelchair. I do. Bob, since when can you stand? It's been some time. I wanted to surprise you on our wedding. It's my gift to you. This is the best gift ever. Finally, after so many ups and downs, Robert found his way to real happiness and success with Kate.
Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.
Jake is a brilliant student and was attending the BII Academy in Chicago. But after his father passed away, he and his mother had no choice but to move to the small town of Sheridan, as they were going through tough times financially. And it had been about a week since Jake had been going to the local BII high school. As Jake found his way to his locker, he noticed a crowd of students huddled around in the hallway. Bucky Beaver, so you finally got your braces. You know what will suit you better? A paper bag. Now we don't have to look at whatever you are. Jake was a bit surprised when everyone quietly watched and laughed along. Hey, leave him alone. Really? You want me to leave him alone? Jake. Yes, Mr. Anderson? I spoke with your mother yesterday about your AP classes. We might have to change your schedule. Come with me. Who's that dimwit? He's the new kid. His dad passed away and he and his mom moved here. She works at BI Electronics. Nice. The academy sent in your transcripts. Your grades are amazing, Jake. I transferred you to the AP classes. Good luck. And if you need any help, you know where to find me. Thanks, Mr. Anderson. With his new schedule, Jake headed out to find his first class, when one of his friends, Kevin, joined him. Dude, what did you do? Why did you mess with Eddie? No one messes with Eddie. Now he's gonna come for you. What do you mean, come for me? I mean, you better hide. Don't get in his way or it's gonna be tough for you. Jake didn't pay much heed to Eddie and simply went on with his day. After school, Jake worked a part-time job at a small BI Burgers branch. Life was pretty quiet in Sheridan. Not a lot of people lived here, and nothing exciting was usually ever going on. The only thing Jake looked forward to was being with Cynthia. Cynthia worked with him at BI Burgers, and Jake had become good friends with her. She was really nice, and Jake really liked her. Is the manager here yet? Don't worry, I clocked you in already. Thanks. Around 9 p.m., Jake was off duty and headed home exhausted. And then he was up early at 7 to be off to school again. It was one day after school, Kevin caught up with him. "Dude, there's gonna be a party at one of my friend's house. You have to tag along." "When is it?" "At 7. "But I have work." "Come on, dude, you gotta manage something. You don't want to miss out on this." "Alright, let me see." Jake called up Cynthia. "Cynthia? Jake? You think you'll be able to manage without me? Again? It's one thing you're always late, and today you want to skip? Alright, I'm coming." No, you do what you want, I'll manage." Cynthia knew about Jake's circumstance, about his father and how hard his mother worked, so whenever she could, she tried to be there for him. And that evening, Jake and Kevin went to his friend's party. "Hey guys, meet my friend Jake. He's from Chicago." "Oh, cool dude, how's the city?" Jake met some new people and was having a good time. Until someone familiar and loud walked in through the door. "Look who's here, the dimwit." Eddie walked up to Jake and stared at him as a crowd gathered around them. "Who invited you here?" "I tagged along with a friend." "Tagged along? Shouldn't you be at work? Or did your mom find you a new dad?" "You're crossing the line." "Wait, are you even sure your dad really passed away? Or is it just that your mom doesn't want to tell you who your dad is? Better yet, maybe she doesn't know herself." "You think treating people like this makes you look tough? It doesn't make you tough, it just makes you look annoying." "What did you just say?" "Ed, not in my house." "Jake, maybe you should leave." Jake didn't want trouble and decided to bail. But just as he and Kevin were leaving, he heard Eddie shouting, "Come on, Alex, maybe you shouldn't invite these cougar cubs to your parties. You should invite the cougar herself." "Go, you wuss. Send your mommy here. We'll take care of her. We'll make sure you get a new daddy." "Tomorrow I'll get him at school." "No man, not at school. I heard Mr. Anderson was friends with his dad." Jake sighed as he headed his way back to work, feeling low and humiliated. "Sorry dude, I shouldn't have brought you here. I didn't know this would happen." "It's alright, it wasn't your fault." By the time Jake reached work, he actually ended up being early. "You were supposed to be at a party." "Yeah, the party ended early." "Why do you look like that? Is everything alright?" "It's nothing." Sensing Jake a little upset, Cynthia asked, "Hey Jake, solve a riddle. What do men have in their pants that women don't?" "Cynthia? Pockets." "What? Pockets? Why? What did you think?" After that night, Jake decided to just keep his distance from Eddie. He minded his business at school, and after school, just went to work. And this was how the days were going by. But then, one afternoon, while at work, a group of guys showed up at the restaurant creating a havoc. And it turned out to be Eddie and his friends. Jake kept his composure and acted as he would with any customer. "Your order, sir." "Let's see. We'll have 3 burgers, a spicy chicken bucket, a large french fries, and make it quick. Jake calmly took Eddie's order and got on with it, as Eddie and his guys pushed the tables around and took a seat. Here's your order. Why is the food so late? It's practically cold. If you want to know what disappointment is, go ask Jake's parents. Oh wait, he doesn't have parents. Eddie tore a bite out of the burger before he spit it out. Jake was repulsed as it fell on his shoe. What is this? Dude, you might be used to eating crap, but real people eat real food. Leave him. Where is he gonna get the money to buy real food? Alright, your mom didn't find you a new dad, did she? Maybe we should go meet her tonight. Tip her a little extra for you. As Eddie went on and on, Jake stood there silently bearing through it. But that was when Cynthia spoke up. If you don't like our service or our food, then just leave. Sheesh, man. Is this how you treat your customers? Where's the manager? Cynthia was shocked as Eddie and the guys made a mess in the restaurant and savagely laughed on before they left. Where do these people come from? Jake, did you know him? Yeah, he's from my school. Savages. Jake quietly went back to work. He couldn't face Cynthia after what just happened. He felt so embarrassed and humiliated. The next few days went by rather slowly, and nothing like that happened again. But then, one afternoon, Jake got an order, and seeing the address, he knew exactly who it was from. What is it? Remember those guys who created a scene here the other day? This is his order. What does he have against you? Well, he was giving a hard time to this kid at school and I told him to leave him alone. And ever since, he's been after me. You know what? I'll deliver it. No, I'll go. Jake took the order and went off to Eddie's house. When he got there, Eddie opened the door before he even knocked. Here comes the cougar cub. So how's your mom? Does she have an OnlyFans? I'll make her some profit. Here's your order. Now pay up. Eddie went on and on as he took out his wallet. Jake silently took the payment and left. But Eddie just wouldn't stop. Where are you going? Take your tip. You should thank me. Your mom's boyfriends don't even pay her this much. From then on, Eddie began ordering every day, just for a chance to get at Jake. Every time he would say awful things about Jake's mom and his late father, and Jake would silently endure it. And soon, Eddie started ordering twice, in the afternoons and at the last moment before closing. It's 9:05. Where were you? Why were you late? That's $15.99. Give that to me. Eddie continued to order from BI Burgers, and things had been going on like this for 2 weeks. But it was one night, he opened the door to see Cynthia had brought his order. Where is he? Who? That cougar cub. He has a name, and his mother is a very respectful woman. Okay, just give me the order and get lost. Cynthia was shocked by how Eddie snatched the burgers from her and threw his money at her before he slammed the door. What is this? This is not it. Cynthia returned to the restaurant feeling relieved to have gotten that over with. But in just a while, she saw Eddie storm through the doors. What is it? Cynthia asked, baffled. Eddie looked at her furiously as he flung his burgers behind the counter. What did you bring me? This isn't what I've been ordering. It was the exact same order. Where is he? He didn't come to work. His mother is unwell. At least he used to properly make and serve the order. Cynthia snickered. Now you're complimenting him? Make the damn burgers properly and bring them to me. You got that? Eddie sat down, impatiently jittering as he waited. Cynthia made his order and brought it out. She watched in shock as Eddie stuffed them in his mouth, taking a bite out of it, only to spit it out. This isn't it. Go make it again. So Cynthia did. But Eddie kept on trying each burger like a maniac. What is wrong with him? Eddie stuffed the burgers until he started belching and burping. Until he vomited. But he didn't stop. No. No! What don't you get, you little? This isn't the one. Bring another one, Eddie shouted. After some time, Eddie seemed like he was completely out of his mind. In that disgusting condition, with food on his mouth, vomit on his clothes, he ran out of the store. Cynthia was absolutely bewildered. Should I call the cops? Better I close before he comes back. A young man was found lifeless on the streets last night in a horrible condition. Authorities confirmed it was high school senior Edward White. Autopsy reports have discovered the cause of death being a substance found in his bloodstream, a substance more addictive than any other substance, and has shockingly been found in most household items. Limited use of this substance does not cause dependency, however. If consumed on a regular basis, the individual becomes highly dependent on it, and this seems to be the tragic case of Edward White. Jake was a very bright student, especially in chemistry. And he was a simple guy who avoided trouble. But Eddie, he had crossed all the limits, taking advantage of Jake's helpless situation. Time and time again, Eddie insulted him in front of his friends, in front of Cynthia, and never spared a moment to insult him. Cougar cub! Ask your mom if she's looking for a new customer. You know why your mom was late last night? 'Cause she was with me. After his father's death, Jake's mother was everything for him. And Jake couldn't take it anymore. Bearing the insults again and again. Finally, Jake lost his temper. And he did what he had to do. Now it's just a matter of time. As Eddie continued ordering, Jake continued putting the substance and monitoring the change in Eddie. And over time, Eddie became dependent on it. Why were you late? Give that to me. If only Eddie had stopped sooner.
Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.
Bless on mommy, bless on daddy, bless on me. Could it really be? Could she really predict the future? No, but everything that happened, how could it be a coincidence? For the past few days, since the untimely death of Hannah's grandfather, Nathan has been awfully stressed. He couldn't make sense of how it all happened, but deep down inside, he was afraid his daughter had something to do about it. Hannah was only 5 years old, but there had always been something strange about her. When Evelyn had gotten pregnant with her, she and Nathan were going through a rough time in their relationship. They were constantly bickering and arguing, and just couldn't get along. But Nathan looked on the bright side. This child would bring them back together. But this pregnancy also marked the start of a change in Evelyn. Suddenly, she had become religious. She started to attend a strange church that had all kinds of strange rules and regulations, peculiar dress codes, and believing in a supreme alien lord is enough to be said. Evelyn had become a member without even telling him, and every weekend she would go for the sermons. That's where she first met Priest Harrison. Such a wonderful sermon, Priest Harrison. Nathan and I had a lovely time. Right, Nathan? Oh, yeah, very peaceful. My delight to be here with you. Oh, Nathan and I actually wanted to invite you over for dinner. Well, when did we... Sure, I'd love to come. Nathan had never been into these things, but on Evelyn's insistence, he went to the church. And on her insistence, they became close to Priest Harrison. Priest Harrison had been a big support for Evelyn throughout her pregnancy. In fact, on the night Hannah was born, he was the first person Evelyn called to the hospital. Priest Harrison, Nathan and I wanted to make you Hannah's godfather. Godfather? When do you make these decisions? You know I'd always be there for her. This child is special, Evelyn. She's born on the night of the Halley's Comet. She's been blessed by the Supreme Alien Lord. She'll be a messenger to this world. Messenger? Thank you so much for being part of our family. And since then, Harrison became even closer to the family, and especially to Hannah. He often came over to the house. He brought bizarre gifts for Hannah. Why don't you start bringing her to the church? It's never too early to serve the alien lord. Yes, that sounds like a great idea. Nathan and I were actually thinking about it. What? When was I thinking? I don't want my daughter turning into one of them. Wonderful! Bring her in tomorrow. We'll do the initiation ceremony. And since then, Evelyn started taking Hannah to the church, where Hannah was learning all kinds of crazy things to which now, Nathan wished he had said no. Recently, Hannah started going to school. But just weeks in, Nathan was called for a parent-teacher meeting. Hannah, here's your science test. You didn't do so well, but I'm sure next time you'll do better. You failed me? May the wrath of the Supreme Alien Lord fall on you, Mrs. Meridew. Excuse me? Nathan was completely shocked and embarrassed when Mrs. Merridew continuously complained on Hannah's behavior and the absurd things she said in class. On top of that, Hannah was miserably failing in science. And Nathan could guess why. "Evelyn, maybe Hannah should take a break from going to the church. Don't you think it's too early for her?" "What? How could you even say something like that? Harrison says she's so well behaved. She's practicing for the lead in the choir this eclipse." "But, Nathan, I have a lot of work. Harrison's coming over for dinner tonight." "Again?" That evening, Harrison brought another gift for Hannah. It was a strange silver UFO, the like of which Nathan had never seen before. "You're growing up so fast. One of these days, you'll see the green light." "What green light?" "Time will tell, child. Time will tell. You're the alien lord's special child. Dinner is ready." Dinners with Harrison were awkward and painful. Evelyn couldn't end with her praises for him. And Nathan couldn't get the right balance of what wouldn't be offensive. "Has anyone from the church ever met an alien?" "Yes, the elders of the church have spoken to them." "Oh, so they've seen the alien?" "No, they only meet in the dark." "Really? No one could shine a flashlight in their face and check?" "Nathan, how could you say such a thing?" "It was just a small joke." "Joke? Do you even understand how disrespectful that was to say about the holy alien elders? So blasphemous." "Priest Harrison, please, don't go." "I can't believe you, Nathan." That night, Priest Harrison left in the middle of dinner. And though Nathan looked awfully regretful of his actions, he couldn't have been more relieved. "Come on, Hannah, time for bed." As Nathan left Hannah's room, he stopped hearing her say her prayers. "Bless on Mommy, bless on Daddy, bless on Grandma, and rest in peace, Grandpa." Hearing the last part, Nathan went back inside. "What was the last part about?" "Your grandpa's alive and well, sweetheart." "No reason, Daddy." Okay, sleep tight." Nathan hadn't thought much of it, and went to bed himself. But a couple hours later, Evelyn got a call from her mother. "Mom? What happened? Is everything all right?" "Evelyn, your dad, he's no more." "What?" Apparently, Evelyn's father suddenly had a heart attack in the middle of dinner some hours back. "I don't understand, doctor. My father didn't have any heart disease. He was healthy." "Yes, the case was quite strange. It was absolutely sudden. Perhaps he was frightened by something and couldn't take the trauma." While having dinner? The death made absolutely no sense. And the following day at the funeral, the only thing that ran in Nathan's mind was what Hannah had said. "Rest in peace, Grandpa." How could she know? No, she couldn't. It was probably just a sad coincidence. "I'm so sorry for your loss." "Oh, Harrison, thanks for coming. It means a lot to me." The rain had been heavy since afternoon that day. The family returned home, quietly had dinner, and around 10, Nathan put Hannah to bed. "Sleep tight." But as he stepped out, he heard his daughter say her prayers again. "Bless on Mommy, bless on Daddy, and rest in peace, Uncle Toby." Uncle Toby? Who's Uncle Toby? Evelyn, do you know Uncle Toby? Uncle Toby? He's a very important elder church member. Strange. Hannah was talking about him. The rain poured heavily all night, but finally the next morning the weather cleared up. But when Nathan came out to the kitchen that morning, he found Evelyn heading out in her strange church attire. You're going to church? It's not Wednesday. It's bad news, Nathan. I can't believe just last night we spoke of him, and today, he's no more. Who? Uncle Toby. He was watering the flowers behind the church yesterday evening, and he was struck by lightning. The church members found his body this morning. Rest in peace, Uncle Toby. Nathan hadn't told Evelyn about Hannah. He didn't know what to say. Would she believe him? He couldn't believe it. A few nights had passed since then. Every night, Nathan waited outside Hannah's door, anxiously listening to her prayers. She was quiet. How? How? Nathan tried to think of every rational explanation, when he suddenly remembered the night Hannah was born. She's a special child, Evelyn. She's born on the night of the Halley's Comet. She's been blessed by the Supreme Alien Lord. She will be a messenger to this world. Messenger? The Halley's Comet is a messenger of death. Is that what he meant? These deaths were like prophecies? Nathan was frightened, and at this point frustrated. He didn't know what was going on, but he knew Hannah had to stop going to that church. Nathan didn't allow Hannah to go to the church, and the rest of the week went by normally, and Nathan was feeling much relieved. But on Wednesday night, a week later, as he put his daughter to bed and slowly walked out, he heard her voice again. Bless on Mommy, rest in peace, Daddy. Nathan felt his chest stricken. I'm going to die next? No, how could this be possible? But then again, it happened twice already. Nathan went to bed, but rarely got any sleep that night. And the next morning, he left for work feeling awfully stressed. Stopping at the red light, his mind was so overwhelmed with everything. Was he truly going to die today? If it was going to happen, the question now was, when and how? As the traffic light turned green, and Nathan was about to step on the gas, he suddenly froze, hearing a loud honk. In seconds, a truck came swerving down the intersection and crashed just a few feet away from him. That was a close call. The process, it has begun. Nathan immediately parked the car and walked the rest of the way to work. The entire morning went by in a mayhem, but Nathan felt a little safer. Nothing could happen in front of all these people, right? During lunch break, he left the office to go to the cafeteria. But just as he was to reach the elevator, the door was shut. Tough luck, it was empty too. Yeah, I guess I'll just wait. Nathan sighed as he pressed the button again. But just moments into waiting, he heard a loud noise from inside. What is going on? The elevator is crashing down. We have to call for help. As panic arose in the halls, Nathan stared at the elevator. I was gonna get on that. If things went on like this, there was no doubt this was going to be his last day. What was he going to do? Right then and there, Nathan went to the 5th floor and locked himself in the bathroom. He would just stay put here, safe and sound, till the day ended. But right before 10, Nathan didn't have a choice but to leave, as the security would be locking up soon. There's 2 hours till midnight. I just have to make it 2 more hours. There was no way he was taking a car or a bus. He was going to walk back home. But that's when Nathan suddenly spotted a strange-looking man. A mugger. No worries, I'll give him all my money. But to his surprise, the man crossed the road and left him be. Nathan quickened his pace. He got lucky this time, but there was no saying what was to come his way tonight. That's when all of a sudden it started to rain. No, not like Uncle Toby. Running down the street, Nathan didn't waste a second until he reached home. Finally, just 10 minutes left. But the moment he entered, he froze, hearing a voice. He turned to see Evelyn and Harrison staring at him. "What happened to you? It's like you've seen a ghost." "You're here?" "Yes. Yesterday you all didn't come to the weekly sermon, so I thought I'd drop by." "Leave that. Sit down, Nathan. Let me get you some coffee. You're soaking wet." Evelyn hurried to the kitchen and brought out some coffee and cookies. Nathan took a sip as he let out a deep breath. "You won't believe, I had the worst day." "Yes, Evelyn was telling me you've been looking stressed lately." "No, perhaps it was all just in my head. It was really a coincidence," Nathan said as he watched Harrison pick up one of the cookies. "What coincidence?" "It's Hannah, I thought." As Nathan was about to share his bizarre story, Harrison suddenly held his throat. "Harrison, are you alright?" I can't." Harrison! Harrison suddenly began choking on the food as he fell to the ground. Evelyn fumbled to get the phone, crying, "Nathan, do something!" But Nathan froze in shock, staring at Harrison on the ground. Harrison! Nathan, he's dead." "What? But Hannah said it was supposed to be me." "Rest in peace, Daddy." "Nathan, we have to go to the hospital right now." "Yes, we need to do a DNA test on Hannah." Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.